I'm CJ Lim. I'm the Professor of Architecture and Urbanism at the Bartlett UCL in London. I'm also the founder of CJ Lim Imaginarium. This is a portal where we deposit a lot of spatial narratives and stories, and it will also be an academy.
What influenced you to pursue architecture?
Should I tell the sad story of it? I wasn't good at any subject apart from drawing, and I think I daydream a lot, so that sort of led me to possibly engaging with something creative, and I probably would have preferred to do some fine arts program subject. Knowing my Asian parents, they wouldn't have it. So the things that, they said, the nearest thing we will compromise and agree to is to do architecture. So that's what I've done. And it has been fun so far. I wouldn't have done anything else.
That's great. Do you think teaching is your calling?
I wouldn't say it's my calling. That's like, that's serious stuff, calling. I really love having speculative conversations with my students. I really cherish those moments. They are very, very special for me. I've been doing it for over 32 years. And I want to contribute to the whole cultivation of imagination in the broader sense, not just within teaching, but also within the profession and so forth. But yeah, my students are very important to me. They're probably most important to me. They're like my family, yeah.
How can imagination play a role in storytelling within the field of architecture?
I think at first I would like to read a little quote from Roland Barthes to you. And I think that probably would be much more eloquent than my description of imagination and storytelling and narratives. He says, "Narrative is present in every age, in every place, in every society. It begins with the very history of mankind, and there nowhere has been people without narrative. Caring nothing for the division between good and bad literature, narrative is international, transhistorical, transcultural. It is simply there like life itself." And I think Roland Barthes put it very eloquently of how narrative is part of our human being, humanity. And if it's the case, architecture, landscapes, cities, urban design, interior design, product design, furniture, they are all vessels to celebrate humankind and humanity. So they should contain narratives. I mean, that's kind of logical, I would thought.
Would you like to take this moment to introduce your book to us?
Yeah, my latest book is Dreams and Disillusion. We just completed it in the middle of 2024, and I'm very, very proud of it. So I actually will be giving a talk at NUS today, and it basically a whole collection of ideas about and ideologies about the built environment. And within the book there are 6 chapters and over 150 drawings, 18 case studies. So there's a lot to really process in there, but it's fun to do, and I'm really quite proud of it. And I'm hoping to share it today with all the students here.
Well, that's a great achievement. My next question would be, how has your design process and methods changed over the years, especially when incorporating elements such as storytelling in your design?
I think it has changed a great deal because through storytelling, I start to appreciate the key element of the built environment, which is us human and humanity for that matter. And so storytelling reminds me also of the emotion of spaces. Spaces could be sad, spaces could be happy, spaces could be, reflective. And all these emotions need to be present in spaces that we create. It doesn't matter if it's a small interior design piece or a landscape piece or a big city. It needs to have emotions. And I think a lot of times my sort of review of designs are that and that involves me, we all forget that it's for human beings. We're not just drawing diagrams for diagram's sake. And I think that's really, really important part of it. And I think, in the age where we need to be smart, we need to be resilient and sustainable at the same time, we need to go back to first principles, the human being. At the end of the day, that's what we're serving.
On that note, how do you start or approach a design idea? What elements or ideas prompt you to start exploring an architectural narrative?
I think there's no hard and fast way of approaching design or design narrative. I think one has to start from what is given, the brief, of course, the site, the economic condition, the social political condition of the site, the brief itself that actually stipulates certain compulsory requirements of the building or the city. And then one has to consider the wider implications that comes with designing. And then from these ingredients, you start to patch up a story, just like any storytelling. And I think, that's really, really key to any design approach I take, my students take, my office take. And we really, really believe in not with starting with forms, but with how human being would actually start to engage in these sort of spatial stories.
I have a question on your book, Smart Cities and Eco Warriors. You introduce smart cities as an ecological symbiosis between nature, society, and built form. Do you believe these distinctions help address the root causes of sustainability and climate change, or do they risk creating conflicts of interest?
The principles of smart cities, I think we have over the years developed and grow and cultivated. I think the best sums it up is we're trying to recalibrate the relationship between human beings and nature. That's first, by participating in what we call the 3 Ps: protect, provide, and participate. And I think that's really, really key. We have human beings been greedy, we have been unkind to nature, and now with the imminent climate change, sea level rise, and so forth, we are still sort of making infrastructure. We are creating things to block it out, to stop it. I think, let's be frank, nature is much bigger than all of us put together. And the thing is that the only way to deal with it within what I call a smart city is to embrace climate change and all the kind of values of protection, participation, and provision. And I think that's really something that we need to, or at least I and my students bear in mind as basic principles. Otherwise, we will always be fighting nature, which is not possible.
Do you have a favorite place in Singapore?
I have definitely a favorite place in Singapore. And it's not one place, it's a network of spaces. They are all your food courts, your stalls, that I absolutely love. I love the fact that it's a hub that brings different cultures together, different tastes together, old and young together, affordable, and it also promotes local tastes. And I think that's really, really important. I think if architecture could do what food could do, that would be amazing, isn't it? So it erodes away all our sort of beliefs and political positions. We just enjoy the food that's created by different cultures. And I think, I think architecture has a lot to learn from food cultures from that, that point. I think our original premise of smart city was actually based on food, and it was not so much, it was based on food culture, but more to do with food security and safety. And that's another issue that we need to really realize, that, you know, food security is in Singapore and in UK, it's all fine because we can afford to buy it. But in other countries, you know, it's a real issue. I mean, having food on the table is not an entitlement, it's a privilege to be able to have food every day. So the things that, you know, we need to be very careful of this very fragile ecology.
So to close our interview, would you like to give any advice or words of encouragement to give to students or people who want to pursue architecture in future?
I think architecture is good fun. It's challenging. It's creative, but it also has and one has to be aware that it's also a lot of hard work and heartbreak as well, because we all, as architects and planners and any designers, would know that, you know, we create and create and create, but not every single design gets realized, and a lot of times it would end up in the kind of archive of what I call the unbuilt, you know, albeit amazing ideas. And so the things that, you know, there's lots of joy and also possible heartbreaks. And I think, you know, it's not glamorous, just to be clear, but it's great fun. I mean, you feel a sense of great achievement, you know, even though it might be a project with just ideas and unbuilt. You know, when you finish it, you feel, wow, you have recorded the moment, a creative moment in time on a piece of paper, in your computer, or have fabricated as a model. So it's really quite amazing, that feeling.
Wow, thank you so much for the words of encouragement. I think that ends our interview.
Thank you very much. I really enjoy it, and thank you for being so well prepared for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.